Welcome, Lightseekers. Have you ever wondered why some people are born with physical or mental challenges that seem to defy explanation? Or why certain individuals seem to carry burdens from the moment they take their first breath? Today, we will delve deep into the mysteries of past lives and explore how the echoes of our previous existences leave indelible marks on our present reality. This knowledge can change the way you see your life, your challenges, and your future. Stay with us until the end, as what you are about to learn might just unlock the door to understanding your true self. Imagine a child born with a short leg. The physical discrepancy is often a puzzle for medical professionals and parents alike. But what if this condition is not just a random occurrence, but a direct result of experiences from a past life? Ancient spiritual wisdom and modern regression techniques suggest that such physical marks can be remnants of injuries or ailments from previous incarnations. For instance, a person who had lost part of their leg in a past life might carry over this trauma into their new life, manifesting as a shorter limb. It's as if the soul remembers the physical wounds of its past journeys, and these memories imprint themselves onto the new body. This isn't limited to physical marks. Children who are born with respiratory issues may have been heavy smokers in a past life, or even succumb to lung-related diseases such as cancer. The soul, carrying the memory of its final moments in its previous body, might manifest these issues in its new incarnation, serving as a stark reminder of the consequences of past actions. But what about mental conditions? How could a past life influence the mind of a child? Consider a child born with epilepsy, a condition often tied to neurological imbalances. Could this be the result of intellectual or spiritual abuse in a past life? Perhaps the individual misused their intelligence or power, and now, in their current life, they are paying the price with neurological disturbances. Such conditions might be a form of karmic retribution, where the soul is given an opportunity to learn and grow through suffering. An opportunity to overcome the errors of the past by enduring and healing in the present. Have you ever noticed how within a single family, there can be stark differences between siblings? Some children are born naturally inclined to study, excel, and embrace life's challenges, while others seem to go astray, often labeled as the black sheep. These children might be carrying the emotional residues of past lives, where they lived as undisciplined or malevolent individuals. Their rebellious nature in this life could be the continuation of a struggle that began long ago. These souls may have been indisciplined, unhappy, or even harmful in previous incarnations, and now, they find themselves once again at a crossroads, given another chance to right their wrongs, but not without resistance. Health conditions, too, can be the echoes of past lives. A child born with severe reflux might have been an alcoholic in a previous life, damaging their stomach and liver to the point of no return. The new body remembers this trauma, manifesting it as chronic digestive issues from birth. It's as if the soul is attempting to purge itself of the toxic remnants of its past actions. Similarly, chronic illnesses, unexplained pain, or even predispositions to certain behaviors can be traced back to the soul's journey. An individual who in their past life indulged excessively in food, drink, or other substances may find themselves in their new life grappling with health challenges that mirror those excesses. So, what does all of this mean for you? If our future lives are shaped by our present actions, then it's crucial to understand that the choices we make today will resonate far beyond this lifetime. If you neglect your health, indulge in harmful habits, or allow negative emotions to govern your actions, you are not just affecting this life, but potentially setting the stage for struggles in your next incarnation. But here's the good news. You have the power to change your future by changing your present. The past may have set the stage, but today, you are the actor who gets to decide how the story unfolds. By nurturing your body, mind, and spirit, you can ensure that your next life is not burdened by the mistakes of this one. So how do we heal from the wounds of past lives? It starts with awareness. Regression therapy, meditation, and other spiritual practices can help uncover the origins of your current challenges. By confronting these past traumas, you can begin the process of healing, freeing your soul from the chains of its previous mistakes. Moreover, practicing kindness, mindfulness, and self-discipline in this life can greatly influence the karma you carry into your next existence. Remember, the marks of past lives are not just physical or mental. They are spiritual. And the only way to cleanse your soul is by living a life of virtue, compassion, and conscious awareness. Lightseekers, the journey of the soul is a complex and fascinating one. The challenges you face today are not just random occurrences. They are deeply connected to the lives you've lived before. But you are not powerless in the face of this reality. By understanding the origins of your struggles, you can take steps to heal and create a better future, both in this life and the next. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the mysteries of past lives. If this video resonated with you, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an opportunity to explore the deeper truths of our existence. Until next time, keep seeking the light.